Hello everybody, my name is Pravus, and welcome to a new game called Before We Leave. This is what I would describe as a chill city builder. That is to say, there is no imminent threat as you are building your civilization and you can take your time. But of course, your only way to fail is through just sheer mismanagement. Let's go ahead and jump directly into a new game so I can show you what this is all about. Now, interestingly, the premise of this game is that there used to be a human interstellar civilization across multiple planetary bodies, but centuries ago that civilization fell into ruin and humans were driven underground in bunkers, where they stayed for centuries. Over that time, they've forgotten all the knowledge of their forefathers, so as we are now re-emerging and rebuilding, we're going to start over in a medieval-era civilization. But eventually, we can start finding some futuristic technologies that will let us go back to the stars and maybe colonize some new worlds. Kinda cool. This is what the map looks like. We have a randomized continent for us here. Eventually, we can travel across the seas to find new ones. We have a bunker located right over here, and our people are now starting to emerge. Cute little ponds. We have some derelict buildings over here. We have a generator and a transmogrifier. Interesting. Okay, so both of these are going to be very important for us eventually. But for now, we need to get some of the basics set up. What do we need? Well, first off, each of these hexes here can support either a building or a road, and roads are necessary to connect all these buildings together. I actually really like a location right here for placing a woodcutter since there's a lot of trees nearby, so I'm going to place a road right here, for example. And then we're going to go to resource buildings and place down a woodcutter right here. And as long as it is next to trees, it will start to generate resources with our workers taking up one of the jobs, right? And the more trees there are, the more effective it is, which is pretty nice for us. We also know that we're going to need some housing, otherwise our people have nowhere to stay. So let's go ahead and place out a couple of roads. I'm just sort of thinking ahead a little bit like this, for example. And then let's go ahead and place down some housing units. How about one here, and one here, and then another one right over here. Perfect. This should be just fine. Okay, so we're going to start building up these homes. That will be good for our immediate population, and as we start expanding out with more homes, as long as we have the food and water to support it, more people will emerge from the bunker, and that is how we are going to expand our population. Speaking of food and water, let's go ahead and place down a well, let's say right over here. A well will provide water for people, and also a production bonus for all adjacent farms. So I'm going to place down, let's say, a potato field right over here and over here. And between both of these, that should be enough food to support our immediate needs. We can chop down some of these trees if we don't anticipate using them, so we can get an immediate boost to some wood. So let's go ahead and tag these to be demolished. Also, similar thing going on here with some boulders, which gets us a small influx of stone. One thing we have to be wary of, though, at some point we're going to start running out of tools. Now, at the beginning of the game, there is no immediate way to get tools. That's where the transmogrifier comes into play. We can toss a load of wood into it, and magically, we're going to start getting some tools. So let's go ahead and set up a quick little road over here so we'll be able to get over there if we need to. All right, so we have our water, we have our food, we have some housing, we have some wood. That's all great. Next thing we want to do is start working on research. For that, we want to place down an explorer's hut. For now, I'll go ahead and place it over here. The explorer's hut gives a scout a job who's going to look for these giant green caches of ancient technology. These are research points we can use to start advancing in the game, right? And there's actually a few of those located in different places on the continent, usually. Oh, wow, I really hope there are. Well, there's one over here with another 164. There's another bunch over here at 48. Not a lot of research on this particular world. There's another 92 up there. Okay. Eventually, as we travel across to different continents or other planets, we'll discover caches of red and blue research, all of which will be useful if we want to start getting some extra technology. We're going to need a library to actually make use of this, though. So let's go ahead and place one down, let's say, right over, I guess right over here. It's a fine central location. Seems perfectly okay. And you know what? Because I'm going to need lots of lumber, let's go ahead and place down another lumber guy right over here, I guess, with 3 more forest patches nearby. I'm going to go ahead and start chopping some of these trees down, and then we're going to go ahead and toss some into the transmogrifier to get some tools, because you can see we are already running out. Once we get the library set up and running, we'll use this to start researching ways of extracting more resources, and we'll find ourselves doing better. Okay, the library has been built. Let's go to the technology tree. You can see that there are quite a few things we can research. Again, some of these taking different resources, different colors of research later. For now, let's go ahead and unlock the elevator. The elevator is how we are going to get up these cliff faces in order to start extracting iron or stone out of the mountains and the rusting hulks, right? Also, if we can get an elevator up over here, that's a whole new source of ancient technology that we can exploit, since this pile is already gone. Just like so, an elevator right here is going to open up this area. We'll be able to place down a road like so, and this leaves open one hex so we can either extract the stone or the iron, depending on which we want more. We'll also need to set up another elevator out over here somehow. These things all being located so close to each other actually makes things a little on the complicated side, not gonna lie. Let's go ahead and place probably some over this direction. We'll get rid of these trees, place down another elevator up over here. I think that would work okay. All right, so now that that's taken care of, if we can start researching some mining technology, we'll go ahead and do that. I also unlocked the warehouse, which is exactly what you would expect. It's a place where you can start storing all of your extra goods. Okay, the mining research is done. Let's also go ahead and learn about metalworking. So as we eventually start getting some iron, we will be able to refine that into tools so I can stop using the transmogrifier, because this is obviously not a very efficient use of wood. Okay, we have built out a warehouse. I'm going to go ahead and allow them to store pretty much all of our resources over here, up to a maximum capacity of 24 to start. We also can now place down, let's say, probably a quarry. Let's actually get this elevator figured out first, because I want to find out is if I were to place down, let's say, a quarry in this location, could it extract from both? I think the answer is yes. If that's the case, yeah, we'll go ahead and place a core right here, and that's going to be a good source of stone. Now, notice that there is a purple radius around this building, and that represents pollution. Placing this next to your houses, obviously, is going to make people very sick and unhappy, and we don't want any of that. Let's also go ahead and place down an iron mine kind of right over here to extract from here, and just like that, if we can get both of these set up, we'll be able to access stone, and we'll get ourselves some iron. Now, we're going to have to learn how to make, let's say, some smelting and some tools, right? So for that, I know I'm going to need a generator, and that means we have to go over here and research repair technology. So let's go ahead and get started on that. If you can repair the generator and toss some wood into it, it should be able to power up my smelter, which means I can start making all of our iron ore into iron ingots, and then we'll turn that into tools. Exactly what you would expect. Okay, we finally have all the tools we need to start repairing this generator, so we can go ahead and start planning out our smelter and such. You can see there's a very large radius for unhappy people if we're going to be doing something like this. But gotta be placing it close to that generator, and it's just out of range of all of the houses, so I don't think it's going to be that bad for us. Okay, there we go. You can see we are putting some iron ore into the smelter. It's getting power from the generator, and that's going to be automatically moved over here to the toolsmith. So in theory, we no longer are going to have to use transmogrifier, which means my wood stores is going to be a lot safer. Also, I just finished up some gardening technology, which means I can place down some additional crops to try and make people just a little bit happier. For example, let's say that I wanted to place down, I don't know, a vegetable field right over here. I think that would be certainly fine. We could also place down, how about some tea fields over here next to a new well that I placed. That would make people a little bit happier. But notice that we cannot plant down any orchards, and that's because on this particular continent, we do not have the right fertility type to place down orchards. We'll have to explore for another continent later if we want to start growing these. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and try repairing this ruined ship. Now, this is going to take a lot of different things for us. Some food, some water, some power, a whole bunch of different tools and such, but we are going to need that. Oh, actually, we need 25 people to live on this island before we can do that. Well, that's easily fixed. Let's go ahead and place down some more housing, let's say, right over here. I think that's a nice, safe location. As long as we keep it far away from all the pollution, shouldn't come back to bite me at all. Yeah, we'll get that built up. Now we can have up to 25 population. Just have to wait for 2 more people, and there we go. Now we can go ahead and start repairing the ruined ship. Ah, there we go. The colony ship Porridge has been constructed on Island 1. Okay. So using this guy, now we can actually start exploring the world and look for some new continents, preferably with some different resources and different habitabilities around. Looks like we found ourselves some sort of a polar ice cap. Okay. I'm going to spend a little bit of time real quick just exploring the world. Let's see what our options are. Okay, I've actually managed to explore pretty much the entirety of the world, and there is another continent not too far away, which might be good for us, especially since we discovered a ruined spaceship. Now, that's probably the goal of the first planet. If you can repair the spaceship, well, then obviously you get access to space, so that's something we certainly are going to want to do. On this new continent, there's a lot of deserts, and not a whole lot else that I can make use of. Deserts have some value. We can make glass and other such things out of it, but we want to have enough fertile land nearby that I'll be able to get some farms going wherever I do establish my new colony. Down over here doesn't strike me as that bad of a location, so I think we're going to go ahead and colonize this continent right over here, for example. There we go. Now we have colonized a new area, and we have 5 people that are currently set up over here. We're going to have to start managing 2 separate islands and their production chains. Now, unlike our first continent, we can't expand our population by having people rise out of the ground from an underground bunker. It's not an option here. So the only way that we can increase our population here is by building a school. Interestingly enough. Yes, schools are how we are going to increase population over here. To do that, you have to first construct a library on your new continent. Otherwise, all your research technology is still going to be locked out. But we've already done that, so let's go ahead and place a school. Now, the question is where we're going to be placing it. I guess over here is okay. I feel like there are better locations for us, though. Maybe out over this direction? Yeah, this could kind of work. All right, let's go ahead and place down a school right over here. Okay, the school is built, so we are going to start getting some more population gradually over time to fill out our extra residential slots. Let's also place down an explorer's hut, because on this new continent, there's red research found right over here. Red research can be sent over into this library, from which we'll be able to research some important technology like shipping, so we can connect our 2 continents together and share resources. Oh, let's also note that on this second continent, we can place down orchards, which is going to be a special food type, which we might want to send back to the main colony. So let's go ahead and place down a couple of orchards. We have a unique good worth producing. Okay, shipping tech is done. Let's head back to Island 1, and over here, we're going to need to place down a shipwright so we can start building up some ships. We'll also want a port so that we will be able to send our ships on their merry way. So the question is where we're going to be placing this. I think it does make sense to place a port close to our storage facilities, since we want to be able to send resources out pretty easily. Shipwright doesn't matter quite so much. I guess I'll go ahead and place it over here or something. This seems fine. Okay, let's go ahead and start building up some more ships. And with the shipwright built, we have to decide what kind of ship we want to build. Scout ships are fast and can move around the oceans, but I've already explored most of it, so I don't really care too much. A colony ship might make some sense if we want to establish a 3rd colony on another continent, or perhaps even better, there's a trade ship. Trade ships are how we are going to establish automatic trade routes between our continents. There we go. The Artemis has been constructed. We're waiting for a couple of people to crew it, and then we will establish those trade routes like so. Okay, so now we're going to click on this button right here with the shipping mode, and this is what's going to ultimately establish some of these trade routes. Let's manage the shipping, add a lane from Island 1 to Island 2 and their respective ports. We want to add the Artemis as our particular ship, and now we can decide what we're going to be transferring around. For example, let's say that on Island 1, I'm going to be processing all of my own tools, right? So I don't need to send any iron ore or any iron ingots over to Island 2, but some extra tools? Yeah, absolutely. Let's make sure we reserve at least, let's say, 20 back on Island 1, and try to maintain a target of 20 on Island 2. So anytime we have more than 20 at Island 1 and less than 20 at Island 2, our ship will automatically pick up some tools and move them over. Sounds great. We'll do something similar, though, from Island 2. Let's go ahead and say that we want to send some fruit from the orchards. We're going to try to maintain, again, let's say 20 over here, but try to send some over back to Island 1 whenever possible. I also want to send all red research back over to Island 1, because that's where I'm going to be doing the bulk of my research, and at some point, you're going to need to have both green and red at the same location in order to conduct more research. So eventually, that'll be great. The trade route has now officially been established, and this ship will just go back and forth tirelessly as long as people can keep dropping off its goods. Okay, now a new mechanic is starting to impact us over here on Island 2. Because people are walking around in hot deserts, they're starting to become fatigued, and that's because they don't have good clothing to protect them. So now that we're getting red research over here in conjunction with the green, we want to start working toward clothing technology. That's mostly going to be taking a fair bit of red tech. So let's go ahead and start with the house, for example. We'll start researching that, work our way toward clothing. We're going to need to be able to start gathering up some, I think, cotton and other resources, and start refining that into something useful like clothing, and then shipping it back over to Island 2. Oh yeah, something else we sometimes will find randomly on different continents are some ancient ruins, which we actually just used to discover a free technology. So all of a sudden, I've learned the mysteries of fuel. Wonderful. I've also already researched clothing, so we should be able to start manufacturing some of this. About now. Let's see, is there anything else I really care about right now? Some steel, for example, will be necessary in order to repair the spaceship, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. So, in order to get clothing and such going, what do we require for that? Well, we're gonna have a tailor and we're gonna have a weaver. The weaver turns cotton into fabric and the fabric makes clothes. So, I think it's safe to say that we are going to need a new crop, and that's going to be our cotton fields. I'm going to place down another well up over here so we can supply everything nicely. Then a couple of cotton fields like so. Plenty of cotton to go around. Now, the real problem is, in order to create a tailor, we're going to need a new material called glass, which is why we had to first research the glass works in order to discover how to make clothing. So let's go back over to the second island, since they're the only ones able to do that. Now, I've already built up a wooden generator, which does supply some power, and of course some pollution, but, you know, such is the way of progress. We're going to be placing down, let's see, that's a glass smelter. I'm looking for a sand mine. There we go. A sand mine is going to start extracting all of the, well, sand in order to start refining that into glass. So we'll get a sand mine located over there first, and then we'll want to place down a glass smelter right over here close to the generator like so. Okay, we have a sand mine, we have a glass smelter, all of them are working in conjunction, so let's go back to our transport route and make sure that whenever we do have some glass, we want to try to reserve, let's say, 10 here for now, but try to send at least another 20 or so back to the main continent. Now, unfortunately, on Island 2, we actually have run out of red research. So if we want to continue doing some more research, we're going to have to expand to another continent. Also, on top of that, I already know that we're going to need oil in order to start making fuel at some point. And guess what? There's only oil to be found over here on a third continent like so. So I've already built up another colony ship. We're going to colonize probably right around over... let's say right over here, I guess. That'd be fine. And now, voila! We have a third continent that we have to exploit. Kind of the exact same way as before. And just like before, we should make sure we add another transport lane with another cargo ship between these two islands so that we can continue to support it, using the Phoenix this time around. Okay, so over here on Continent 3, we are finally starting to produce some oil using these oil wells over here, which, yeah, do create some pollution issues. That's unfortunate, but I think we will live with some of that. Got another wood generator set up, and now we are building up a fuel refinery from which we can take said oil and some power and start creating fuel. That's important because we're gonna need fuel to launch the rocket ship. So now we finally have a worthwhile export good. I'm gonna go ahead and start shipping as much fuel back to Island 1 as we can. I think it may be time to start repairing the spaceship. Now, we'll still take some time to fully coordinate all of the resources, but we should at this point now be producing everything. We're gonna have the power, the tools, the glass, steel, wood, and a whole bunch of other things ready to go pretty soon. Yeah, we have some unhappy people due to all the pollution. Sorry, really not that big of a priority. More important to build a dang spaceship. Just a tiny bit more, and I think we are set. All right, we need 30 people to load up to form a crew, and now we can launch the spaceship, and we are ready to leave Planet 1, just like that. Not too bad. Now, don't think that we're done with Planet 1 yet, because that's not true. There's plenty more that we need to do. Ah, there we go. Okay, let's move the spaceship over this direction. It's gonna have to make a full orbital pass around Planet 1 to slingshot around to the next planet nearby, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and wait for it to arrive. And here we are, arriving over an unknown planet. Let's colonize this one and find out what else we've got to go with. All right, so there's a whole nother world. You can see some blue research over here as well, which is also exciting. Let's go ahead and land the spaceship right over here. Okay? And just like that, we have now colonized our second planet, and we will be able to establish, eventually, some trade routes between planets, just like we did with the ships, so we can have some fun with that. In the meantime, though, ancient blue technology means a whole lot of new stuff for us to worry about if we so desire. But for now, that is one major goal accomplished in Before We Leave. So, I think we had a little bit of fun with this. I hope you guys certainly enjoyed it. I think that this is a pretty cool game. Certainly very chill, not a lot of high pressure, mostly just keep building until your heart is content. And I think that there is a lot of reward in that if you're the right kind of player. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope that you found this video interesting and informative. If so, then of course I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time.